right about now.
Hey,
everyone.
There it is. Awesome.
Welcome back, everyone.
I want to share this real quick before we get it super going. Because it's exciting. I enjoy doing these live streams. It's a fun time.
Me too. So while you do that, I'll take a little swig.
All right. Yeah, this is just going to be a chill listen along sesh with Pete Townshend. It'll be a fun time.
Yes. So we shared the announcement video that's got the playlist. So go check that out for listening along. And if you're watching live, chat with us, and we'll read it on there. We're just gonna take about a minute to get started.
Yeah. Listen to some classic rock with this. I think I got it. And copy and paste. Yay.
All right.
And one more.
All right, one more.
Actually, like one or two more after that. Hang on.
That's okay. This will give people more time who are joining us to go. Again, if you're just now tuning in, check out our announcement video on our channel. We include the playlist of the 11 songs we'll be listening.
Yes.
So we'll give you guys a minute to...
we should also share that in the chat as well.
Yes.
Can you do that, Tom?
Yes, in fact, I'll go ahead and do that while you are getting set up.
Thanks, bro.
You got it, bro. Hang tight, guys. We'll get started in about a minute or two. We're going to make sure we share everything, so all of you are included. All right. You got your things shared?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right.
No, I meant share the link to the playlist.
Yeah, it's right here.
Oh, you got it. Okay.
All right, guys. The link to the playlist is going in the chat, and it should be up there right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so now the link is shared, and pretty much everything has been shared. We're going to throw it to the other side of the table here.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Welcome to a Triple Threat live stream. Today we're going over a beginner's guide that I made for the solo discography of The Who's guitarist, Pete Townshend, one of the best songwriters in rock, as I don't think anyone could deny. What have you guys heard of Pete Townshend?
Wait, can I ask Pete Townshend a question? Who
Yes.
are you? I'm Tom, and I got jokes for days.
I'm Garrett, and this is Savannah.
Hi.
So very similar to our Rush live stream, but figured we had to get out there for those who don't know who we are. So, so Pete Townshend, I think I came around the same time as you, solo career, like late high school, and Savannah's definitely more.
Oh, hey, Brooke.
Hi, Brooke. Good to see you too. And Savannah, I think, is just introduced to more of his songs. I think you know a few.
Yeah, like I mostly know him for his solo career for "Let My Love Open the Door," just because that's been used in tons of like movies and TV shows that I have probably seen one way or another.
Yeah, that's if anyone knows one Pete Townshend song, it's "Let My Love Open the Door."
Yep.
Which is it's fine. It's a good song.
And Brooke,
it's so good that it's on our playlist twice.
Brooke, we forgive you for the question mark. All right, so we have not a lot of albums to go through.
Pete only made a handful of albums, and some of them you could say like don't really count. It depends on how you count them. Because he's made how many studio albums? Because it's Who Came First, Empty Glass, Cowboys,
White City, Iron Man,
and
Psychedelic.
He's made 6, but he's also made 3 compilations of demos, a couple other soundtracky things, some tributes albums to his spiritual guru,
guide guru.
Yeah, Marababa, and of course he's made a bunch of collaborations here and there, like as late as 2014.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's always a lot of overlap with The Who, especially with the demo collections, because most of those demos are demos of Who songs that you've heard before.
And then even his own compilations, he'll often include 1 or 2 new tracks. So
Mhm.
even if he's not coming out with new albums, he's got new material as recent as 2015.
Yes, where he debuted Guantanamo and
How Can I Help?
And How
You?
Can I Help? Guantanamo, which would go on to become Ball and Chain from the 2019 Who album.
I'm gonna ignore the joke that's got like 19 titles, but whatever.
Ball and Chain and Big Cigars and Guantanamo. Yeah. So anyway, we've got a playlist of 10 songs and a bonus track that we've linked in the chat here, so you can listen along as well. Since you're on YouTube, you'll be able to view it on YouTube.
Mhm.
We're going to start off with a track from Pete Townshend's first solo album, which was kind of a compilation / demo comp of songs that he mostly made for Meher Baba, his guru, who had passed away a couple years before, and has many guest stars on it, including Roddy Lane of the Small Faces, Billy Nichols of, I don't remember exactly what he was part of.
Don't remember.
I know he's also known as a solo artist. The one I've chosen for us is Sheraton Gibson.
And we should mention the name of the album.
The name is Who Came First, released in 1972.
All right, so Sheraton Gibson, give everyone a chance to cue it up. I'm just going to go ahead and take this thing off. All right, so as usual, just like the Rush, we'll count it down from 3. So Sheraton Gibson playing in 3, 2, 1, play.
What y'all think of that?
I think he's in the Sheraton Gibson playing as Gibson.
Yes,
you do?
that's exactly what I was
Poor
going to
guy.
say.
Poor guy. I think he wants to go home too. Someone let him go home. No,
And
that's.
he obviously loves somebody named Cleveland.
No, that's the.
I think it's the
City.
name. I think
Yeah,
it's the
no,
name.
I get that.
No, it's the guy from Family Guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
A show that wouldn't exist for like 30 years. He was already loving him already.
Yeah.
Honestly, like as much as I do like the song, like I did like that. Like you think about it, there's really not that much to it.
Mhm.
He's just like you know what the vibe I get from the song, and I'm gonna read Pete's quote in a second here.
Yeah.
The vibe I get from the song is he literally was staying in a Sheraton Gibson on the road, and it was like, hey, I got a Gibson. I got a couple hours until a gig. Let me write a song. That's kind of the vibe I got, and you know what? More props to him.
Yeah. It's a nice little ditty.
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
That's what I would call it. Just a nice little ditty.
Yeah, it's got
Nothing
right.
profound. Something you could easily hear in a club or
Mhm.
play just on your own.
Yeah, and I really like this one in that it's one of those ones that fits, that gives you a good indication of the tone of the first album he made. Very pastoral, very light, a lot of acoustic and folk sounds,
Mm-hmm.
but also adding in those little bits of interesting like synthesizer and stuff.
Someone's music is still playing.
Sounds
Is that
like
right?
it.
Huh.
Oh, I think it's from another room.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's a nice one. There weren't too many other choices I could have thought of as a good one for
No.
from Who Came First, because either he's not on them, he didn't write them, or they're Who songs that he made demos for.
Yeah, like Who Came First is from 1972,
Mhm.
and I have to wonder if he thought that the demos Pure and Easy and Time Is Passing, which were recorded by The Who but not released until years later, if he thought they were ever going to come out. It was like, well, screw it, let's put them on my album.
Yeah, he hadn't hit on the idea of doing a compilation like Scoop yet.
Mm-hmm. Although I'm pretty sure Let's See Action, which is also in demo form of Who Came First, did come out either in 71 or 72, but it's included anyway because I've gone on record saying I think Pete likes that song a lot for including it. But anyway, yeah, this is probably the biggest example of here's Pete, all written and very possibly all played too, every instrument.
Yeah,
here.
That's something that Pete was known for, is kind of taking the McCartney album approach to a lot of his, especially his early material, of playing pretty much everything by himself, overdubbing on his own tracks, and I think it really works for all the material he'd used that approach in.
I want to quickly read his quote here to see what he
sure.
has to say. Side note, most of the tracks we'll be playing is on his compilation, The Best of Pete Townshend, Cool Walkin', Smooth Talkin', Straight Smokin', Fire Stokin', and they include a booklet with quotes from all the tracks included.
Oh, okay.
So very quickly for Sheraton Gibson, funny enough, he says, it grew out of a really interesting writing session that I had. I was in a hotel, but I don't think it was the Sheraton Gibson, but it might have been. And he goes on to, it's quite a bit of a long quote, so I'm just going to kind of summarize. But he did say, like, yeah, I just sat down, put on a tape machine, early primitive cassette machine, and just put myself on the spot and made up songs as I went along. How many could I come up with? And I came up with 8, totally made them up, start to finish, every detail, nothing added, nothing taken away. And what you hear is what I wrote. So it uses the kind of chords that fall under the fingers, but what the song actually does evoke is how I felt at the time.
Yeah, wow. I'm always amazed at how Pete can just fart out a song, and it's great.
Which kind of makes me wonder why there are only 6 solo albums. But anyway,
yeah, a little bit. But like when you look at stuff like he wrote Pinball Wizard in 20 minutes.
Yes,
recorded a demo of it in probably about that time.
Exactly,
and thought it was one of the crappiest things he ever did, and everyone was like, "That's going to be a number 1, Pete." And then we're close.
Yep.
Aren't close.
All right, but getting off topic a little bit here. So our next track is from Pete's next solo project thing, a collaboration he did with Ronnie Lane of the Small Faces called Rough Mix. They released this in 1977, and it's pretty evenly divided down the middle between these are Ronnie's songs, these are Pete's songs. Again, we still have a bunch of folk sounds in it as well. And we have this song that Pete wrote for Ronnie without telling him it was for Ronnie, who, by the way, has passed away in like 2000, I want to say, from multiple sclerosis. Pete still plays this occasionally. If he ever does solo concerts, it's bound to show up. It's called "Heart to Hang On To." Go ahead and cue it up.
All right. Hard to
We're
hang on.
listening. Yeah, and we're listening to the live version from the Royal Albert Hall concert in 2000.
No, we're not. You include the studio version on the playlist.
No, it's on the live version's on the playlist.
I'm pretty sure it's not.
No, it is.
I can pull it up just to
I'm
prove
telling.
it.
I made the playlist. I know this.
All right. I'm not saying you're
I
not.
just only bring this up because I think he gave me the studio.
Oh, what
Oh,
what
okay.
the hell? Okay.
Do you want to?
Yeah. All right. So
what do we want to do then?
all right. So here's what we're gonna do, everyone. So we all have the studio version. We'll listen to that. We'll include the live version as a bonus because we apologize. We did not prepare for this, and by we, I'll take the blame for this one.
Okay.
100%.
All right. I have the live version, so I'll listen to that too. Whatever.
Okay. So we'll cue up "Heart to Hang On To." Choose whatever version you want.
Yeah.
I'll cue it up in 3, 2, 1, play. Oh, that's me. So, all right, so that takes us out of Hard to Hang On To, whichever version you want to listen to. Again, apologies, guys, but a good song is a good song.
Yeah. So the reason I picked the live version is that in the live version that was played at the Who concert in 2000, Pete plays it by himself on acoustic. And I've said it before on this show that I could listen to Pete Townshend playing acoustic guitar all day, every day, because he's the master. There is no one better. There's a bunch of flamenco accents and just finger picking is on point. Just it's so good. It's so good. I highly recommend you seek out that version. It's on our playlist. You'll find it.
Yeah.
Even the studio version is excellent too. What do y'all think of it?
I didn't like. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't like it at first, but then as it kept going, and I mostly paid attention to the words. I'm like, okay, this is nice sounding. And then you get to the point where they change it up, and they just add in the rock guitar. They add in the drums, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is really cool. And by the end, I really came around to it, and I really liked it.
Yeah, because Ronnie sings the verses in the in the studio version, and Ronnie.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Ronnie's voice is not the best.
Yeah, which I think that's why. Like, I was thinking, like, did Pete, when he was ready to say, okay, you can have everything else, but the main part is mine,
right?
And like, since you mentioned that, like, I guess you didn't want to ruin like the main lines of the song by having.
That's another
Ronnie
reason I wanted to go for the live version. All respect to Ronnie Lane and how nice a guy he was, apparently.
But just Pete saying everything just like makes it just a tad bit better.
I think so.
Yeah, Rough Mix is a interesting album in Pete's discography because it is like officially credited because Pete has half the name. You can find it, of course, on the Wikipedia discography, or when Pete releases a solo catalog, that's going to get a treatment because it's part of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are a good majority of tracks where Pete mainly just would play on it and really do not much else. So like if you pick up a Pete Townshend compilation, you're likely going to find Misunderstood, Street in the City, and My Baby Takes It Away, because those are 100% Pete, whereas this one is very 50-50. But Pete still likes it. You can even find it as recent as his 2015 compilation album.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting one, and honestly, I thought you would pick the studio version because it was like, this is an album by Pete and Ronnie, so here's the track that has Pete and Ronnie on it. But
I considered that, but I went with the solo one because I like it more, and
we're talking just about Pete.
It's just Pete, yeah. Well, we can't just like not include Ronnie and Pete's solo work because he's very present in the first two of his solo-ish albums. And partly because Ronnie Lane was, for a good few years there, one of Pete's very best friends. They lived very close to each other and did a lot of their thinking and music writing together, or at least close by.
And I believe Ronnie was even starting to get sick at that point. Yeah. So you can imagine having a friendship that you would want to hold very close.
Yeah. Pete tells a story of when he got into an argument with Ronnie while making Rough Mix. And at some point, he just kind of like half-heartedly punched him. And Ronnie, in Pete's word, he just flew.
He's very sick, very weak.
Yeah, because MS will make you very frail. But I mean, he managed to survive another 25 years after that. So like,
amazing.
Mad respect to him. And his the like memorial concert for him in like 2004 was huge. So many people came there. It's like I get the feeling that Ronnie Lane is like the friend of a friend of every rock star of that period.
Yeah.
So I think that this is one of the most moving songs written about and for him.
It's a great pick.
Yeah.
But then we move from the solo-ish albums to what arguably would be considered his first true solo album, which we have to show.
Yes.
From 1980,
Empty Glass.
Empty Glass. And
this is my favorite of Pete's solo albums. And it's fantastic. I adore this thing. It is a very personal album of his. Because you got a lot of Pete working through his issues in this. We're writing this album with some of the songs we'll be talking about right now. The opener for Empty Glass is a song called Rough Boys. I'll let you guys figure out. I think, Tom, you know kind of what it's about. I'll let y'all figure out what the...
Did you change the playlist?
Yes.
Then that's why it's different.
Oh, sorry.
gosh.
Yeah, because we don't have Rough Boys. We have A Friend is a Friend
Oh, shoot.
instead.
Okay.
So no wonder this is different. It's
Yeah.
hard to hang on to is different as well.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I was like
But
panicking.
you
I was
got-
like,
you
is
should-
it somewhere
You should
else?
still have Rough Boys.
I don't.
Yeah, okay.
Because he only gave me.
I'll
he
fix
only
that. I'll
gave
fix
me-
that.
He
Open
only
YouTube
gave me the
and-
Pete. He only gave me the Pete songs
I'm
that
sorry.
I needed.
I thought when I updated, y'all would see it.
No, I'm sorry.
Or I thought that you were going to be playing it off the playlist.
No.
Yeah, just go to open the YouTube app on your phone and play it that way.
Yeah, rough.
So
Boys.
sorry about that.
It's
Okay, hold on a second, guys. Yeah, we're going for Rough Boys,
Yeah,
which is
here.
the opening track.
Yes.
So
I will let you figure out what it's about, but we'll talk about it afterward as well.
all right, so Rough Boys. Here we go, guys. All right, so we're gonna count it in again.
Yep.
3, 2, 1, play.
How about that?
That was pretty cool.
I love that one. That
Yeah.
one's so fun. What'd you think it was about?
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and get this out of the back. Since this was not on the original playlist, I played this for Sven already, so we won't be listening to this one. And here's what I think the song is about. So I'm gonna run through my theory again. Not saying I'm right. This is 1980, and this is 2 years after Who Are You? And Who Are You is infamously inspired by a row that Pete had with two members of the Sex Pistols.
Yeah.
And the vibe that I get is Pete is so paranoid in 1978. When he's reading all the headlines, whatever, that punk is the new music that's going to take over, and he's so paranoid, and he's like, he comes across the two Sex Pistol guys. He's like, look, if you're going to take over music, then just freaking take over. Okay, who are you? What are you doing here?
Yeah.
And then Rough Boys 2 years later is him saying, you know what? If these guys are going to be around, then I shouldn't be so hard on them.
Yeah.
I'm going to see what I can find. Meaning the music out there. Like, I want to fight you, but I also want to kiss you.
Yeah.
That's the theory that I have. Not saying I'm right, but that's the theory.
I kind of got the same thing. Like, especially since we just listened to like two of Pete's like acoustic stuff.
Sure.
This is almost kind of like him either trying to like kind of modernize the Who a bit or modernize himself a bit, like trying
Definitely
to keep with the times a little bit. Yeah, because this also almost sounds like a song that could have been on a Who album, but it just never made it. So it's like, okay, I'll do it myself.
Right. In fact, so 1980 with Empty Glass is a year before Face Dances, the 1981 Who album came out. And at the time, Roger Daltrey of The Who was saying, like, man, Pete kept all the best songs for his album. And so as a kind of, I think, apology or making up for that, in the 1989 Who tour, when they were doing their Tommy anniversary, and also their 25th anniversary as a band, the Who on Ice tour, as I've discussed, because they had just like an army of session musicians on stage with them. They would play a couple of songs from Pete's discography. Some of them we're listening today, and Rough Boys was played many times on that tour. And you're right, it does have a very Who-ish sound.
Yeah.
Pardon. With the tempo and the lyrics are something very personal to Pete, clearly. Partly because there's also another subtext to the song that I think is sometimes, I think, overplayed a bit, is that there's some subtle homoeroticism in it.
Yes.
I could kind of understand
Yeah,
that. Yeah. I spotted that.
Talking about biting and kissing and and even like under the sheets, nobody knows her. It's like there's just this woman here, and that's not what we're here about, sort of thing.
And then there's the try and talk me away, we can't be seen together.
Right.
Yeah.
Because Pete has been pretty candid about his bisexuality-ish throughout his career with The Who. And that's something that we don't have to go into too much detail here, but
it's there.
There is definitely some subtext there, and a lot of people think that this is Pete's coming out song, and he's like, no, I'm not. Like, first off, I have other coming out songs, and also just like, and it's not even like something that he like brings out a lot.
Yeah.
You know.
It's funny you mention that, because reading what Pete's exact words for Rough Boys, there is no mention in his quote as to what the song is actually about. He just talks about the making of it. But
the technical side, this song's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
With all the keys, and I especially love the intro riff with the guitars that sound like bagpipes.
Oh, yeah.
And it doesn't help our case when you think like, oh man, like all this big production that he put together, because literally he just says the first lines were, Rough Boys was made up on the studio floor, period, entirely, period. I just made it up as I went along, and Kenny Jones played along, and we're all like, you MFer, that you can just do this. Yeah, in this quote, there's no mention as to what he has to say the song is about, just how he made it. Yeah. But no, it's definitely a great production.
Yeah. And I will say, as I was listening to it, I couldn't help but think of Footloose.
Yeah.
Especially like the main parts, just the beat. It's very Footloose, and I'm like, I bet I could sing Footloose over this, and it would fit pretty
A
well.
little bit.
See what
Yeah,
I can find
actually.
loose.
Wow, yeah, I've never thought of that.
Some
Yeah.
YouTube DJ put that together, please.
Yeah, match
Yes.
up a Rough Boys and Footloose.
Please.
Yeah,
Also-
it's. Go ahead.
No, I was saying, like you were pointing me to, but I couldn't help but look, and if you have like the actual like vinyl thing on the back, it has the lyrics, but it also has like in between all the lyrics, it has like these glasses.
I have a
Yes.
theory for what that is.
I think-
Yeah,
I
so
think that's what he was
looking- and
drinking when he wrote it or
yeah,
did it.
and it's not the same. Like it's different thing. There's like a Scotch
There are
glass. There's like
tumblers.
flutes.
Yeah.
Or alternatively, it's like these are the drinks to enjoy while listening to this song.
Maybe.
You're gonna be hammered if you do.
If you do what Pete says.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I mean, he's like at this point in his career, like we love the guy, but a lot of these songs are his heart on record
Yeah.
and his
Yeah.
feelings. One of the songs that we're not listening to, Jules and Jim, like one of the lines that always get me. I'm going to sanitize this for our life. They don't give a crap. Keith Moon is dead. I'm like, ooh, that's a biting line.
He's talking about some critics who were just crapping all over Keith Moon after he died. I'm
Oh.
like, dude, that's not cool. Thank you, Pete.
Yeah, that's
Good on you.
Mm-hmm.
that's insane that people would do that.
I know.
Right.
I mean, Mooney was a crazy, weird guy. And
He was also pretty, freaking
Mhm.
amazing. In
Yeah.
From,
Oh, yeah.
From
Right.
what nearly all who people
the
say.
greatest drummer of his generation, for
Mhm.
sure.
Mm-hmm. A lot of this album is definitely personal, and even the title
Yes.
track, Empty Glass, I think quite literally, one of the starting lines is, my life is a mess. I wait for you to pass.
Right.
You sum it up in 4 words, my life's a mess.
Yeah. There's a lot to unpack with Empty Glass, but it's so rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
And partly just because, Pete has never had a bad arrangement in any song. I feel
Mm-hmm.
maybe like a couple of like his Lesser Who songs. You can pull out stuff like "Now I'm a Farmer" or "Dogs" or something, but really, there's always something great about just the way he puts a song together.
Mm-hmm.
And we will see more of that because we have more selections from Empty Glass. We'll move on now to Pete Townshend's premier, most known solo track, Let My Love Open the Door.
So we'll cue it up in 3, 2, 1, play. Great stuff.
Yep.
Possible. I know for many people it's an obvious choice, but that is probably my favorite Pete Townsend solo song.
Really?
Yeah, it's perfect length, and it often teases me because I wish it were longer, but then I think, you know what? I think it's actually perfect length. And Pete, and I'll read Pete's quote in a second, but it has a lot of different ways you could sing it to someone because it's not for a specific person or even a specific sex. It's a perfectly crafted pop song. And the fact it's also on this album where he's being Pete Townsend. This is when I say Pete, I mean all things Pete Townsend. The singer, the songwriter, the producer, the musician. It's or the
grumpy asshole,
the deep thinker.
Yeah.
This is Pete Townsend, the pop star.
Yeah.
and I love it.
Yeah. What'd you think of it, Savannah?
I really like it because, like I said, I mostly know it from like movie trailers, or I know it was used in this one movie that I know, but it was in a more slowed down version, which I think we're going to hear.
Yes, we'll hear it later
on. Yeah, so I just like it. It's a nice pop song.
Yeah, I agree. It is very much a pop song.
Yeah.
In fact, Pete's manager at the time, I forget who, said, "Pete, you cannot release this as a single.
Boo.
You like
How about I do
Anyway.
because
and I get it because like especially after hearing Rough Boys, knowing that Let My Love Open the Door is on the same album, it's like, is this the same person?
Yeah.
Like
Empty Glass is kind of a mess of contradictions, but it all works well together.
Yeah.
But Let My Love Open the Door as a single, and by the way, once it became a hit, the manager called Pete and said, "Hey, I'm sorry, don't listen to me."
Reached as high as the highest Who charting hit. Fun fact. But I Can See for Miles, Let My Love Open the Door went to number 9. Highest they've ever gone on the U.S. charts.
Yeah.
So
clearly for good reason. And Pete, I think maybe he's going to touch on it in the quote here, but he said that from his point of view, Pete being a very spiritual person, the song is not just about, this is about the lady or the man that I love. It's like, no, he thinks of it in terms of God speaking to any of us. And I think when I heard that and I recontextualized it in my mind, I was like, wow, this is actually a great hymn.
Yeah.
When you think about it like that. What does the quote say, Tom?
So it starts by him saying, Let My Love Open the Door is one of those songs where you end up shooting to write something really deep and meaningful, but what you end up coming up with is something that appears to be froth. This was a song about love, but this is actually about divine love. It's supposed to be about the power of God's love, that when you're in difficulty, whether it's major or minor, God's love is always there for you. But I suppose because I use the royal we, I sing with God's voice, it became a song about, quote, "Hey girl, I'll give you a good time. If you're feeling blue, come over to my place and we'll catch a movie," end quote. Very much a soap opera version of what it was about, but a few people have picked it up.
Yeah.
I would like to
embraced by all.
Yes.
Yeah, I would like to see some pastor in church just like, I want you to listen to this and picture it as the voice of God, and then you just hear the opening notes and someone's head just perks up like, seriously?
Someone's like, I've heard this 40 times a day every day in 1980. Please
pick something else.
Yeah, this is one of the songs that just when I've been listening to it, my parents sometimes would pop their heads in my room and be like, "It's that song." It's like, this song? I'm like, do I know this song?
Everyone and their dog knows this song one way or another.
Yeah, my mom and dad they both said like, it was good the first time I heard it, but after the next 80, it kind of started to grate. So that's cool that this is your favorite, Tom. So next one we're going to listen to is my favorite Pete song, "A Little Is Enough," which is also one of Pete's favorites.
So "A Little Is Enough," and we'll cue it up again. Here we go.
Again, another track on Empty Glass.
3, 2, 1, play.
How about that?
That was pretty good.
Oh,
I could see why you like it so much.
it's so good. It's my favorite.
Yeah, the composition and just like the rhyming and the rhythm of it is really, really good.
Yeah.
I also thought it fun because the one line, I'm a connoisseur of champagne cognac. Again, if you have the vinyl, like all of the lyrics are broken up by like different types of glasses, and for a little is enough at the end, and it actually has champagne flutes and a cognac glass.
Not only that, but out of all the songs, this one has the most the most amount of glasses.
Yeah.
So talking about quote, a little is enough.
Yeah, a little bit.
No, I've always liked this song, and I don't believe Pete really did heroin that much, from what I can recall. So that's why, like, I find the line very interesting when he says, "Your love is like heroin," because it's
addictive.
It's addictive, even if it's something that he doesn't himself take, or if he has. He's told the story about how he just like left his body. He's like, "This is so not for me."
No, that was a different drug.
Okay, but still, the point is like that line very interests me. It's like he's writing about something that he maybe has never personally had, but he definitely knows about it. I just find that a very interesting line.
Right.
And I always wondered if the year after this they do face dances, and they do "You Better You Bet," and there literally is the line, "A little is all right."
Yeah. Again, it's one of those things where it's like if they had taken the best tracks from Face Dances and the best tracks from Empty Glass,
that would make killer.
My god, that would have been the best album. Because we get something like "A Little Is Enough," which the Who did perform on that same '89 tour.
Seems like something they could do
alongside Rough Boys and a couple other Pete solo tracks. And then even Face Dances, I think, is super underrated. Has a lot of really good material on it. But and of course, I forgot to mention that Roger Daltrey has also recorded his own solo version of "Let My Love Open the Door."
That's right. That was a few years ago.
Which makes me think like he still hasn't quite gotten over it. But they're both great songs. I feel like they're kind of very similar but different enough that "Let My Love" can in its original production is a little poppier. "A Little Is Enough" though is Pete's preference of the two. He says like, "I hate the love songs that I have written, except for that one.
Yeah,
Little is enough."
Yeah, he thinks it's one of his best songs, full stop. And every time he goes on solo tours, which are rare now, he will bring this out and play it in some form or another. I've heard him arrange it acoustically. He did play it with the Who, and that was fantastic. He played it with his solo band Deep End. Which had David Gilmour on guitar, and it just that's my favorite version, is the one from the Deep End live album.
I wouldn't be surprised if it hasn't happened already, and forgive me if it has, but if years from now, if Pete teams up with like the London Symphony Orchestra, because it's not uncommon, like you see like the Beach Boys, Johnny Cash, Elvis, freaking people who aren't even alive, and Little Is Enough, like instead of the synthesizers doing bop, 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 just imagine like string section doing that.
Yeah, well, I do like it when they did it with the brass section and his big bands.
See, that's another thing, like no synths, like actually brass or orchestra.
Yeah, but even here, the way that it's arranged and the way that they sound, it's mixed. It's still great.
Oh yeah.
It's like there's still this. It's not as big as when he does it with the brass, but there's still this power behind it, especially like when the drums kick in and oh man.
And literally, in Pete's own words, the very first sentence he says is, "A Little Is Enough is a really great favorite of mine, and it would have to be on any best of collection that I put together." And it goes on for a big paragraph. Like it even goes into the next page that he has definitely a lot to say. Quite literally about some of the addictions he was having, which I will not really go into, but you can definitely tell. And he talks about a conversation he had with somebody called Adi Arini, who was Mayor Bob's secretary for a long time, and he was doing a lecture tour.
I was about to talk about this. So this is a good quote.
No, it was like perfect segue. Like he gives like the whole conversation. So why don't you can probably sum it up?
Where Pete was going through a lot of problems when he made this album, as we've discussed. Some of them include marital problems. He was separated briefly from his wife, I believe, at this period, and he says he goes to this. It was the secretary of his guru Meher Baba, who was basically the next best thing, and he goes to him for advice and is like, "Look, I don't know what to do because I don't think my wife loves me." And Adi says, "That's okay. She doesn't love you at all?" He says, "I don't know. Maybe she loves me a little." He says, "That's good. That's good. We can work with a little. A little is enough." And that quote just blossomed into this song.
A little is enough.
He had his Dewey Cox moment.
Yeah.
With a pencil.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, even so, it actually does have one of those stories, but it leads into something that just came out so good that you can't ignore that. Especially when you see that Pete did continue to try with his marriage, and he held on for another 20 or 10 years.
Something like that.
I forget when they divorced. But it made that frame of mind made a difference in his life for quite a while.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely a great song.
Yeah.
I guess we have to address the elephant in the room going from this album to the next one.
Okay. So the next album, if you can hand it to me, Tom.
All right, if you've never seen this album cover, just be prepared.
Yeah. This is All the Best Cowboys Have Chinese Eyes.
All the best cowboys.
All the Best Cowboys Have Chinese Eyes. What the fuck is this album?
Where to even begin? This is the most esoteric album that anyone ever made.
I don't know about esoteric. Well,
no, I'm going to call it that because only
right.
Pete would know what it's about. And I'm sure even if we asked him years later.
A good word I used to describe this is impenetrable.
It is very hard to decipher.
It is. The lyrics wind around and make such strange references and everything. Like, it is very strange as far as just trying to figure out what any of these songs are about. And he has only written about some of them.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, the arrangements and the musicianship on this album are probably peak.
Yeah, like we're praising Empty Glass. I actually think the production, dare I say, gets better.
Yeah, I do.
All the Best Cowboys.
I definitely agree with that.
If you don't agree better, at least bigger.
Yeah, and it's also one where you see he reaches out into different areas musically.
Mm-hmm.
There's some spoken word poetry and some new agey sound things. We're gonna stay away from that with the selections I've gotten from the album here. I've chosen The Sea Refuses No River as our only selection from Cowboys.
So,
which, by the way, if we're addressing elephants in the room, the title, All the Best Cowboys Have Chinese Eyes, is Pete referring to how he thought it was funny that you have great movie cowboys like Clint Eastwood and John Wayne that always do the stare.
Mm-hmm.
Squinty-eyed stare. He said that's what he was getting at here. Like a couple of months after he released the album, he was like, "So I expect to be on the floor when it would have been MTV. It would like for the Emmys special award, stupidest title of the year."
And then he tried to cover up that explanation by saying, well, it's about how you can't really hide who you truly are. And even by that point, we're all like, it's a little too late. The title's still weird, and it's going to forever be weird.
Yeah.
Sorry, Pete.
Yeah. It's a weird title for a weird but really good album.
Yeah.
So we're listening to The Sea Refuses No River now.
We'll cue it up in 3, 2, 1, play.
Anyone want to take a stab at this one?
Was that?
Anyone want to take a stab at it?
It's a great sounding song.
Yeah.
Damn straight.
Damn straight.
Yeah. No.
Let's just get that out of the way.
Yeah, no, it really does sound nice, and there's like I noticed like quite a few like different, I guess, genres of songs. Like there was like a touch of Western in there. Overall, I thought of it as kind of like a rock song.
Yeah.
Like possibly soft rock. But yeah, I was like reading the lyrics and listening along, and I just wanted to turn to you and be like, what the hell is this song about? I have no idea.
Yeah.
You guys are idiots. The song is really deep.
I kind of get the feeling that that's the theme of this whole album.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, no, man, it's so deep.
It's so deep.
Yeah.
The vibe I get from this album is that we've all seen the "It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia" meme where Charlie Day's trying to explain all the things on his clipboard.
Pepe Sylvia.
Yeah. I feel like that's this album. Like, no, man, like this connects to here, which leads to this. It's all circular, man. It's like poetry, George Lucas, and it all makes sense.
Yeah, but I feel
That's Pete describing this album. A huge clipboard.
Yeah, but,
I'm sorry, we love you.
Oh yeah, it for sure.
yeah, but I feel this song. I don't know. It may be more for me slightly easier to understand than some of his other songs. For me, it was just like with the sea refuses no river. It's like the sea is welcoming to like everyone, so we should welcome everyone, no matter where they're from, or what they've been through, or who they are, or anything. And I didn't get that until like midway through.
Yeah.
So it took me a while. I didn't get it straight away, but when I did, I was like, oh, okay, so this makes sense. So we should be accepting of people, just like the sea.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think Savannah should get an award for like nailing songs what they're about on the first listen, because that is note for note what Pete says the song is about himself.
Dude, nice.
Yeah.
All I really know about any kind of meaning toward it is that the title, Sea Refuses No River, is his family slogan, like from hundreds and hundreds of years ago.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
That is the Townshend motto.
So this really has deep meaning.
Mm-hmm.
And to quote what he says, he actually starts by saying, I think somebody described the sea refuses no river as a suicide note, probably reference to like drowning or something. He says, in actual fact, what it is a song of acceptance. Kudos to you, Savannah.
Yeah.
This is another one of those songs that grew out of my interest, not just in Meher Baba, but also in the poets that Meher Baba enjoyed when he was a young man in his 30s.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks about, it's quite a bit, but he does say, to wrap things up at the end here, he does say, if God's love is wine, then human love is water, and lust is like the stuff that runs into the sewer. But in the end, it all combines in this huge ocean, which is the infinite presence of God, and therefore it's all subsumed and mixed and one. End sentence. And that's what the song is about.
Cool. Okay. I never read that quote, so that's some cool context for it. I'm gonna have to read the lyrics and look back at that.
Now, I was kind of reading this as I read the lyrics, and it kind of like blew my mind a little bit to be like, okay, now I'm not going to shun some stupid lines about the beggar buys the next round.
Yeah.
And instead I'm going to be like, oh, he's accepting the beggar who's buying the next round of alcohol, let's say, possibly.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter how he's able to pay. It shouldn't matter how he's able to pay for it or what he's done to pay for it. It's just let him be. Let him enjoy his
Let
drink.
him do it and let him accept it. Exactly.
Yeah. Oh,
so perhaps he might not use the best metaphors, metaphors that are so impenetrable, but
I wouldn't even say that they're bad in any degree.
No, I didn't say they're bad.
I think it just takes a while to get them because
no, I didn't say they're bad. I'm just saying they're on surface level they're very questionable.
Sure.
But you can take something like what he says or what we're talking about and look at it a different way. That's all I'm saying.
And that's definitely reflected in the views of this album. All the Best Cowboys is a repeat album for sure. Just so you can understand like the themes of the work. Maybe you have to do some research on what each song means in particular, but it definitely requires a few more listens than something as straightforward and honest as Empty Glass, or or something that has a story attached to it like his later solo albums. But this is probably one of the best songs on one of his best albums. So,
and Roger also did it. We should mention.
Yes, in Roger's 1991 tour of playing Townsend solo and Who music. Roger Daltrey would sing a few Pete Townshend solo tracks, and one of them was The Sea Refuses No River, which also, and so we haven't talked too much about the technicality of the song. How about just, I love the, you mentioned the various moods that the song has.
Yeah.
I really like the bridge in particular,
Mhm.
where everything kind of quiets down and it's just Pete accompanying himself on guitar, and Peter Hope Evans on the
Beautiful
on that
harmonica.
harmonica. Like, wow, the control that he has, man, of going from that low note swooping so gracefully up to the high note every time. Dude, what a pro. And of course, the guitar solo in the middle is very nice.
Mhm. No, on Pete Townshend's inevitable London Symphony Orchestra, I'm gonna bet this was one that's included
Yeah.
because, like, literally, this one's got you can hear like bells and crescendos and a little bit of brass and orchestra. So just bring that to the forefront if and when he works with the London Symphony Orchestra.
Yeah. Oh, and Simon Phillips on the drums, just nailing each tom is placed perfectly. It's just oof. It gets me.
Yeah.
It's
just like you said, proof that like you may not understand some of what Pete is saying, but you can't deny that the music and the way it sounds and the way it's mixed is just great.
Above all else, I love listening to it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It sounds so nice. So our next stop on Pete's solo track is a little bit off the beaten path.
Are we going to go back in time?
A little bit, yeah. We're going to his 1983 collection of demos. Tom, would you hold up Scoop?
Yes.
The first of 3 Scoop albums. This one was released in 1983. There was also another Scoop in 87 and Scoop 3 in 2001. Probably the best known Scoop demo that isn't a Who song is what we're listening to next, a track called Mary, which was a demo for the Lifehouse compilation. The Lifehouse project.
Exactly. So cue it up. Mary, 3, 2, 1, play. All right, so that's Mary from
Lifehouse.
If
Scoop.
yeah, if a Who version of this somehow exists, let me at it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Scoop is a fascinating little sidetrack of everything Who and Townsend related, because it includes stuff like this that just isn't available in any other form.
Mhm.
And
And at least that we know of.
yeah, I mean, there are like some live versions that Pete did on solo tours and stuff, but they're either arranged heavily or very differently, or like there's been significant work done on demos to make them almost unrecognizable. But it's a really interesting look into Pete's work ethic and also just how good a songwriter he is. Because a lot of times you'll go through a song and see this is pretty much exactly as it would be on the Who album. It's just they didn't have the Who playing on it.
Right.
And that's why you get, since the Scoop albums came out, that famous quote that the Who is the best Pete Townshend cover band.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
I mean, can you imagine that big break of dun 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 with Moody on the drums and possible substitutes of the guitar, a bass? I don't know. It just sound great.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Pete was like he was quoted saying something like the Who might have recorded it, and then for all we know, in Africa, there's in someone's garage. There's the Who's banded studio version,
right?
Because sometimes stuff will turn up out of nowhere,
right? Yeah. What'd you think of it, Shanna?
I really liked it. The only thing that I kind of didn't kind of care for was the volume of the actual singing.
It is a little low.
Yeah, because it's audible, but almost barely.
It sounds like a guy vocal.
Yeah, I wish it had been just a tad bit louder. And I get why it wasn't so loud, because this is kind of
this is a work in progress.
Well, not only that, I kind of consider this a mellow song. Yeah. So it's you don't want loud vocals or anything.
Mm-hmm.
There needs to be some balance. I just wish the vocals here were brought out a bit more. Mm-hmm. I will say I could definitely see the song being played at the wedding of any girl named Mary ever. Just whether they play it for the first dance, or if the groom wants to be romantic, he'll get his guys together and they'll play it for her.
Sure.
Just
wedding playlist deep cut.
Yes. No, because
Truly.
it's a sweet song about this guy who wants this girl named Mary. Hopefully he will marry her one day.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah,
that's basically my two thoughts. It's a nice song. I can see it played at a wedding. The only thing is, I wish the vocals were just a tad bit louder.
Sure. It is very nice. It's pleasant. It has that same sort of pastoral feel to a lot of his early work, considering it came about at the same time. I think this demo dates to 71.
Yeah, about that time.
And at the same time, though, I feel like this is more clearly aimed at the Who. We mentioned with the middle parts, the riffing that happens in the middle there.
Mm-hmm.
It's you give this to Raj, John, and Keith, they could really make this blow up, and it would be pretty rad.
Right.
I kind of wish they had, and if they had,
let me add
it.
Right.
I want it real bad.
Thinking about it, it's possible the song might have been sung by Pete on the album. The reason why I say that is because in 2000, Pete released the Lifehouse Chronicles box set, which is not the Lifehouse set list in stone, but it's more of here are all my demos presented in the order that I think the album would have played in.
Yeah.
And Mary is in the first half of the tracks, and it sits in between Greyhound Girl, which is also a Pete demo. As far as we know, no Who version exists, and Behind Blue Eyes, which of course we know that Roger famously sung as the villain song in Who's Next. So a part of me feels if Roger had sung Mary and Behind Blue Eyes would have come right next, it would have been a little bit of a contradictory move. Then again, Roger could have made it work. I'm not saying he couldn't have.
Oh yeah.
But I'm saying in my theory, there would be a good chance that Pete would have sung this one if the Who version exists.
Sure. Yeah. I can see that.
But again, the Lifehouse Chronicles tracklist is not set in stone. Pete's just look, the Lifehouse tracklisting was constantly changing. This is the best I can do.
I kind of also feel that the Chronicles box set was Pete's way of saying, like, I want to be done with this and leave me alone.
I'm so done. Taught me for 30 freaking years.
Yeah.
It's out. It's done. Let's move on. Let's talk about something else.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, let us move on to our next solo record, White City, a novel from 1985, and the opening track, Give Blood.
Oh, yeah, okay, good. I'm already on it.
All right. So we'll cue it up in 3, 2, 1, play. You know, shout out to my dad. If he would have heard this song for the first time in 1986, he would have pinpointed immediately that that's David Gilmour on guitar. Because he did that the same every time he worked with Paul McCartney. He would have did the same thing with Pete Townshend. Because
he listens to "We Got Married" in the middle. He goes,
oh, hey, David.
Gilmour? Which is exactly what I did, so, by the way. Give Blood featuring special guest David Gilmour of Pink Floyd on the guitar. Thoughts, y'all?
This seems like a good song to have in like a 1980s action movie or TV
Right?
show. Like it's no, especially for a TV show. I can imagine the song playing like during like the opening credits.
Yeah.
Just like a montage of like two cops or
Yeah.
what have you, just like driving and doing a car chase or
For
punching
sure.
people. Just it seems like that's not saying it's like a bad song or a cheesy song. I actually quite like it.
Okay.
I'm just glad the Red Cross hasn't used it in any of their commercials.
I know.
Because someone would have picked it up and he's like, "Oh, it's called Give Blood. We'll use it in our commercial." And us fans
Yeah,
are like, "You might want to pick a better different song." Just saying.
I was gonna say that, but then it's like, no, it's not, because the whole point of the song is like they're asking you to like give all these things, like give yourself up, give everything you've got, but it's not gonna be enough. Instead, don't try giving any part of yourself. Just like give something else, like give love and keep blood between brothers.
You could take the title "Give Blood" and put in parentheses before it. You could give blood, but you may find that blood is not enough.
Yeah.
You could give blood, but some will say it's not enough.
Yeah.
And that's just what I think. And I had to also laugh because
Did you read about the recording of it?
I did because why? Do you know about the recording of it?
Yeah, it's great because this is one of the very few songs on this list that Pete does not play any instruments.
That is correct.
He just threw a delay pedal at David and said,
"Hey, you've used it before, right?
So do one of those riffs you did like in Blue Light on your solo album, or more famously, Another Brick in the Wall, or Run Like Hell." You know, the dang sort of riff.
According to Pete, the exact quote he said was, "Do one of those ricky ticky things." That's exactly what it says here.
Yeah,
and I'll just shout "Give Blood" in the microphone.
Yeah, and
here, go nuts.
So he threw that pedal at him, and then Pino Palladino on bass and Simon Phillips on drums, and said, "Three of you just do something, and I'll riff over it with lyrics," and it works so hard. This is probably my second favorite Pete song. And oh wow, it's good.
And that sort of makes all the sense because there really aren't that many changes musically in this song.
Yeah.
Aside from the bridge, but you can tell like Pete's listening to the backing track and think like this would be a good time to switch the motif of the lyrics.
Yeah. Oh well, you say the bridge. You mean like the chorus?
The chorus, I guess. Yeah. I was only calling it the bridge because I think of the title "Give Blood." Whenever they say "Give Blood," that's the quote chorus.
Basically.
So basically, when he sings "Give Love," that's when it changes the music, and I imagine Pete's writing like, "This is where I'm going to change the words here."
Yeah.
Because these guys did a great job with that backing track.
Yeah, I really like how this is kind of a combination. It really is like what you would expect for a guy who worked with Pink Floyd working with Pete Townshend, because it starts off very quiet, like every Pink Floyd album, basically.
It also starts with like I noticed kind of something imitating like a heartbeat.
The heartbeat,
which is perfect for giving blood.
It fits thematically, even more so than "Speak to Me" in a way, it's got the awesome riff, and it's very dark, but it's also a very simple song. You talked about with the few changes going on in it. But when that chorus hits, man, it is just like throw the windows open, joyful. I dig it so hard, and dude, the musicianship happening in this track is phenomenal,
stellar. No, Pino's got his bass turned up. Not incredibly hot, but pretty hot, where you can tell where he's filling in the spaces. John Entwistle, hands down, would have been a big influence on Pino's playing.
Dude, yeah.
Because John's always filling in spaces, and Pino's doing the exact same thing. And there really are only 3 musicians on it, which is pretty amazing.
Right, and Simon Phillips feels like if there were 6 musicians, Simon Phillips would be 4 of them. Just the way that you just octopusing all over the drum set. I can totally see why they brought him in to do the drums in the '89 tour, and also just probably the favorite drum moment out of a lot of great drum moments on Give Blood is after the extended instrumental section, the last fill he does before the vocals come in again is played almost entirely on bass pedal.
I don't think I even noticed that.
All
to
he
be
does
honest.
is do slam, slam, and it's just. It's so cool to watch him do that live too, because he just like stretches his arms out while his feet are doing all the work.
Oh god!
And I'm like, dude, you legend. I like him more than I like Zach Starkey on the drums for the Who. I wish Simon had stayed more. Anyway, I'm enough geeking out about that.
We'll get ready to geek out again, especially when talking about the drums on the on the next one.
Oh yeah, we're doing face to face. This is gonna be a grand old time. I tell you what.
So, everybody ready? I'm gonna count down. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, play.
That was that's how it ends.
Yeah.
That's how it ends.
Yeah.
And it's not even the last song on the album either. It's like track 3 out of 8.
Yeah.
Oh man, that sucks because
I
let me say
know.
this is a really catchy song. Like it started off kind of with a jazz feeling and everything, and then it just gets so
And then
upbeat.
just doubles immediately.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it's so catchy and everything, and you get so into it, and then right at the last second, it just stops.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
like-
It's just like everybody like shuts up, and it's a jolt. It's like what?
Someone cut the tape? What happened?
I do like.
I love the cold stop.
I do feel that this is one of those songs that probably went on in the studio a bit longer, and someone said we gotta cut down like a minute of this
Oh,
or something.
They
And
could've
Pete
done a
says like,
fade
okay,
out,
we'll cut
though.
it there. I was like, just
Sure.
let the drum resonate a little more.
do a fade out.
It
This would have
sounds-
been better. This
it
would have
sounds
worked
like
better
a
with
mistake.
a fade out.
Oh yeah, it could have. It sounds like a mistake that they cut the drum off mid reverb.
Yeah.
That's why I prefer the live versions of this song. Which still, this kicks ass.
Yeah, it does.
I saw you
denying
dancing.
That.
Like I
Yeah,
had
no.
most of my. I have my eyes closed through most of it, but
Yeah, no, I was mostly paying attention to the drums, and with I won't lie. When the drums first kick in, I just wanted to go, "Ow! I'm walking on sunshine."
yeah, a little bit.
They reminded me of that.
Yeah.
And then that did
When they
happen. I
kick
was
in,
like,
as
"Oh."
in like when they first come in, or when the reverb just doubles their volume.
No, just when the drums first come in, just like
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh wow, this reminded me of Walking on Sunshine."
Mhm.
Only a year apart. And like
That's
even
true.
Oh, wow.
even watching it live, I mean, Pete doesn't play anything because he's too busy
Yeah.
doing his thing. He's doing his own dance. He's even doing like his little finger motions like this. It's so corny. I love it.
Yeah.
And his backup dancers, like they're like jogging in place, and
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
Yeah.
I'm sure if you look down at their feet, there's just pools of sweat. Just
Oh,
saying.
on everybody.
And they still
on
have to
stage.
sing and and do the quote unquote rap
and rap the verses
while jogging in place in time with the drums. So pow, pow, pow.
Yeah.
Like, hey, more kudos to you. That's your workout
Yeah.
for the
This
Yeah.
this
for the
song
day.
is just fun. Just
Yeah, it is
absolute fun.
Mhm.
And you can see, like, especially in the live performances, that this is Pete Townshend being a big band leader.
Oh yes.
And it's so much. It's just I love everything about it. It's just the tempo once it kicks in is just relentless. It just hammers, and you got the rapid fire raps at the beginning and the two verses, and also I just love the lyrics, even though they're kind of simple and a little stupid.
Oh,
It's just like how many nouns are also verbs
Yeah.
and are one syllable long. Fight,
Fight.
stand,
Scheme.
take.
Judge,
Okay.
judge.
Yeah.
yeah. Like I honestly would not be surprised if that's just how the song was written.
It's
Because
just an exercise in
Just
finding all those words.
an exercise
Yeah.
all this word. Because
Yeah.
It's a nice grammar. It's a nice English lesson. Really.
Because the White City album
Mhm.
only has 8 tracks, and I know there is an accompanying movie, which I'm going to be honest, I haven't really seen because I don't think Pete has anything to do with the movie. And dare I say it?
He's in it.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Okay,
Yeah,
but
he plays all the music in it too.
okay, well, I guess the point I'm trying to make is like 8 songs. Usually, if an artist does a movie soundtrack, you're gonna have more than 8.
Mm.
And with this one, it kind of feels like I'm a little curious as to how this plays in the movie. But then I'm like, even though I haven't seen the movie, I'm also going here going like, what does this have to do with anything?
Sure.
I can
sure.
honestly-
I mean, in the nicest way possible.
I can imagine in the movie, just because this is such a gasation song, I even though I don't know if that's the tone of the movie, I can imagine this being like a dance break or something.
Oh, yeah.
Or just people in the streets.
Yeah.
Just
So okay, let me tell you about White City, the movie. Which, by the way, White City is an area of London. I think.
I don't know.
I want to say London. It's like a district or suburb of London.
yeah.
Low income place.
Mm.
Used to be like it was named White City because they anticipated that it would be for the wealthy or at least the higher end of the middle class, and it had just the way things shook down, it became a lower income part of the neighborhood, and this is Pete kind of revisiting that area because he I don't think he grew up in White City,
I
but he
don't think he-
definitely had a lot of friends who lived there and made a lot of his early gigs and connections in White City.
Mm-hmm.
So it is part of who he is. And in the movie, he sort of plays a fictionalized version of himself where he revisits White City and one of his best friends there, who has also been. And some people think that the friend he visits is like basically Jimmy from Quadrophenia in his late 30s, and so it's basically just like going. It's very much an independent kind of going back to and looking at my roots and seeing how I've changed and how the place has changed, and not much. There's not much plot to it, I'll admit, and I didn't think it was very good when I watched it. The best part is face to face, where Pete gets his band, which he's called the Deep End, and they play at a swimming pool in White City.
Oh, Deep End, boom.
That's where they got the name. That and the combination of going off the deep end. But the White City performance of Face to Face is easily the highlight, and it also has like some abstract animation going on there. It's pretty neat. That's like all you need to see of the movie if you really want to get anything out of it.
Are you looking to see if White City actually is in London?
Yeah, it is, and it's like White City's a little bit more rundown than some of the areas that surround it, but it's still a great place to live. It's mostly made up of apartments. It says you'll find a nice mixture of pubs and restaurants here, though you won't have as many options as you will in some of the nearby neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
There's also shopping. It says the neighborhood's sleepy, forgotten status is about to change. However, the former home of the BBC and this is about to be the site of a massive regeneration effort.
Oh, good on a White City.
Yeah, hold on. This must be recent though. I can't tell.
Sure.
Yeah, it's 2021. So yeah, they're about to get revamped.
Well, at least at this time it was kind of a crap hole.
Yeah.
So I'm glad it's bouncing back a bit.
Oh yeah, it says a multi-billion-pound infusion of cash is set up to build 5,000 new homes, schools, a university campus, and parks.
Yeah, if anyone's watching from White City,
good for you.
Good for you. You made it.
Yep.
One final thing I'll say about White City, or Face to Face, I should say, reading what Pete has to say. I know we love to quote Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story when talking about our favorite artists. Get ready to quote him one more time because Pete says, Face to Face was done on a new keyboard, which was a form of DX7, and I was very keen to get something very, very fast and upbeat knocked out. And I knocked out a few sections, but I couldn't play it all together. So I played bits of it, but tried to do it all together, and it confounded me. So I built a bunch of building blocks and said to Rabbit, who was his friend John Rabbit Pundrick, quote, I want 40 of them. 5 of those, 6 of these, and 7 of those.
I want 40,000 didgeridoos. An army of didgeridoos.
Yep.
So no wonder the production sounds like it turned up to 11 on this track.
Yeah.
There are almost, in Pete's words, 40 keyboards on it. And
an
even,
army of keyboards, 40 keyboards.
Yeah.
He did say he wrote it all out, played it to a drum loop that he got from a box, and then Simon Phillips overdubbed the drums. We later dubbed the brass and the backing vocals, and overdubbed onto Rabbit's synthesizer playing.
Wow.
Because if you are not familiar with who Pete Townshend plays with, this does sound like a drum machine, but it's not.
No, it's just because Simon Phillips is a human metronome.
Exactly. He's doing his thing, and
so
doing it great.
I originally thought, and this was the playlist I gave y'all, was that I was gonna keep a track from the Iron Man album on here, but I decided to take it off. The Iron Man is actually what people nowadays would know as the Iron Giant. It was written as a Ted Hughes children's book, kind of an epic poem about a man made of iron who came to Earth and stuff happened. If you've watched the movie, you don't know the original Iron Man story. Just telling you that. They changed it to Iron Giant so that they wouldn't have a
legal dispute.
They wouldn't have a legal dispute.
They would have a lawsuit on their hands.
With Marvel, yeah. Still, it's a good book, and the album is Pete's attempt at writing a musical based on the book.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it is cool in theory.
It doesn't come together.
The album I don't think is very good, but it is hard to separate the idea that it is an album of music made for children, but it wasn't really marketed as such. Especially because it features one of the earliest reunions of The Who on it, when they played the song Dig and a cover of the Arthur Brown song Fire. A lot of people say that the Fire cover is terrible. I don't think it's that bad, but I can see where they're coming from. And Dig is okay, but it's definitely one of those things where it's like, oh, this isn't The Who I remember. And as such, it has never appeared on any like compilations or anything. Dig's a decent song, though. Roger Daltrey does a great job.
And I believe in terms of Pete Townshend's slow contributions, he only has like 3.
Yeah.
So again, this is kind of a curio with like Rough Mix or Who Came First. Like, do you or do you not classify this as a Pete Townshend album?
It technically is.
It technically is. Like when he will re-release his catalog, this will no doubt be included.
Yes, but only a couple of tracks have made it onto his compilations. Like the one that I consider putting on here is A Friend is a Friend, where Hogarth, who is voiced by Pete. That's another weird thing about this.
Wait, you have a grown man voicing a child.
Right. I mean, he's just singing all the parts, and like, okay, I get it. Somebody has to, and this is his album, and that he's the main character. Fine. He's like 40-something. So he's like 45, I think, when he made this album. And so it's fine. But again, you have to keep that mind space that this is an album of music made for children. And if you view it as such, you will have a better time and have a better context for it. I don't think a lot of people got that going into it because it's the new Pete Townshend album featuring the Who reunion.
And if you like John Lee Hooker and Nina Simone, they're also on this album.
Right. There is a lot of talent on this album. And even Simon Townsend shows up for
That's
a song.
right. I forgot about him.
Of course, his song is like 40 seconds long on the album.
Sorry, Simon.
Why would you do that, Pete? Just curious. No, but the songs where Pete does sing, I think, are the better ones, and A Friend is a Friend is probably the best. If you're at all curious about Iron Man, try to find a place where you don't have to pay for it to listen to it first, but
Look it up on YouTube.
Yeah.
Maybe some kind
or
uploaded full
Spotify,
thing.
whatever. If it's on Spotify, I don't know.
No, a lot of Pete Townshend's like the basic albums, like no bonus tracks or deluxe editions, are on iTunes and streaming services. So I have no doubt that Iron Man is on there.
Iron Man was on iTunes. I don't remember if it is still. It's fine.
But it's not worth including in
I don't
beginner guide.
In a beginner's guide, no. That's definitely a deep cut. So we're going to go ahead and skip to what was going to be his follow-up 2 years later and ended up being 4 years later because he got into a bicycle accident that harmed his hand by putting a kickstand through it.
Oh.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah. Pete released the concept album Psychoderelict, which is another rock opera, but it's a little different. It's more like a radio play than typical Pete Townshend material until he put out the music-only version that doesn't have any of the radio play dialogue. So we're going to listen to the music-only version of the single from Psychoderelict, English Boy.
So everyone cue it up, and here we go. Count it down. 3, 2, 1, play.
How about that? Really kicks you in the teeth to get going, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Like it borders between like just basic rock and then hard rock.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also just like Pete like going in between actually singing and then doing this like very distinct rhythmic like
Spoken
singing.
word.
Yeah, spoken word.
Yeah. It's definitely a little. It's an oddball a little bit.
Yeah.
I dig it a lot though.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I do too, but I guess I don't have that much to say than like what I'm listening to. I mean, even in Pete's own words, he says it's the focus for almost the entirety of Psychedelic album, which is the last studio I made. Boo. And English Boy and Psychedelic both represent a kind of break for me with the old style, and therefore there's a real sense of looking back at not just who I am and where I'm from, but where the band's brief came from, where my brief as a composer came from, the street, the stuff that goes on the street, the conflicts, the difficulties, the feelings that you only know who you are if you're a football fan by reading the papers. That was a very long run-on sentence, and it almost feels. Dare I say, it's almost what the song kind of feels like. It's like I'm an English boy, and then he just dwells on that more and more and more for the song. Not to the point where I say it plays out that I'm tired of it. It's just I don't know what else to say. Yep, he's very much an English boy.
Yeah, he's obviously very proud to be an English boy too.
Yeah.
Like he'll brag about it, and
just like you can hear the pride in his voice as he's belting out these lyrics, and I love it. Dude, that fuzzy guitar though, like wow, I never expected to hear that. Like the first time I heard it, I just went, "Damn, Pete, that's so rad." That's a little more punk or even metal, and I wouldn't have expected that from Pete.
Yeah.
And yet it all ties together really nicely.
Well, we're in 1993, and you know, now that we have grunge and metal entering the scene, you know, why not get a little bit heavier with your sound, so to speak, even if it's something as simple as a fuzz guitar. Yeah. Because I believe it's been a while since I've heard Psychedelic, but like the whole story about that is the musician character Ray High trying to complete his masterpiece, and I just have to laugh because I think I heard it for the first time with you. I don't know if it was the first time you had heard it though.
No, I heard it a couple of times, but I remember listening to it.
So he's talking about like I forget if it's the name of the masterpiece, The Grid Life, or if it's just a component of it. But
that's the name. That's the name of
it. Okay, but the second I heard it, I was like, Grid Life. Where have I heard this before? Wasn't there something about a grid? And that was the lifestyle in Lifehouse. This is 93. Pete, are you sure you've moved on from this? Are you okay?
Can you really not get over that?
Yeah, no, this is another autobiographical Pete story where he's talking about dealing with the failure of the Lifehouse project through his proxy character of Ray High. And it's an interesting story. It's kind of a weirdly prescient story for what would go on in Pete's life, but I don't want to talk about that right now. And I think it's a fun, good album. A lot of people say that it's probably one of his worst. I don't see that at all, especially because Iron Man. I just think that I even find this more interesting an album than White City, which a lot of people say is one of his better albums as well. Yeah, and English Boys, it's the clear single from it, of course. And it's a great fun time. I also really dig the piano at the end. Yeah. Just make it like, oh, this isn't just thrashing around and shouting things. Like, no, there's some true emotion happening here. I think it's good.
I will say that with Pete's solo catalog that he's re-releasing, it's probably going to take quite a bit to get all the albums going, but at least it started with Who Came First back in 2018. Like, this would be a great time to get Psychedelic back out released, because the only version that's still in print is the radio play version. The music only you can't find it that is presently available. You have to go digging, or you have to buy it used, which is what we had to do.
Yeah.
And
Even you can't find it cheap.
And you can't find it cheap either, especially if you find a version that has 2 discs, the radio play and the music only version.
Yeah.
But they are available separately, and on the compilation albums that Pete puts out, English Boy often is included, and of course it is the music only version. So I'm a little sad to say that as of this recording right now, on I believe both Spotify and iTunes and even YouTube, English Boy is the only psychedelic track that is music only that is presently available.
Not even I Am Afraid?
Maybe, but I know for a fact English Boy is.
Yeah.
And that's a little sad. The point is the whole album should be re-released, and even if it does take a few years to get the deluxe version with extra discs and a booklet, at least put out like a nice digital version. That way we can say, hey, you can go buy it.
Yeah.
So it is a little sad for me to report that, but kind souls exist on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the bulk of our look at Pete Townshend's music. What'd y'all think overall?
He's very good at no like he's very eclectic as far as his styles.
Yeah.
Like he's good at going from the acoustic to pop to rock to anything and everything in between. Like and I really admire him from that.
Yeah.
And I don't think there was one song on here that I totally disliked.
Good.
Like there's some stuff that I thought could have been a bit better had 1 or 2 things changed.
Yeah.
But overall I like the sound of all the songs.
Rad. Tom, what about you? I know you've heard some Pete.
Quite a lot.
Uh-huh.
You know what I get? I get the impression that Pete always has to be working. He always has to be writing music, recording music, and also putting out music. Even if I make a joke, like this year, Pete Townshend is so unproductive. He's just going to put out Scoop 4. As much as that's a joke, I'm gonna listen to it. I'm gonna buy it, and so because it just seems like he always has to be doing something. Like when Who Came First comes out in '72, there's no Who action in '72, so he just does it himself. There's no Who action in '77, so he just does it himself.
Yeah.
And the point is he's always has to be working, and that is a great thing to think about. But it also makes you reflect and be like, there are only 6 albums of his, and man, I wish there were more. And with the recent lockdowns and quarantines, I wouldn't be surprised if someone opens up his tape closet and tapes just come flooding out of all the stuff he's written and recorded in lockdown.
So think about that. I read that 2019 came and went. The Who had their comeback album, and then once the world shut down a couple of months later, I read an interview somewhere that Pete said, well, I guess I'll start working on the next Who album. And I just went, all right. I like good initiative, Pete. Keep that up. Although in subsequent interviews, he's been saying I didn't have that good a time making the last one, so I don't know if I'll continue with that. I'm like, okay, fine.
Yeah. But you know what?
But Pete, keep on working.
Yeah.
But
you gotta come out with something.
I also just get the vibe. He says that a lot about things that are put together that he doesn't think are that good. But then again, you read his solo career, he talks about, I made this track and this track and this track very quickly, and I love them. Yeah. So for him, it's very 50-50 about if he makes something so quickly, is it going to be good? Is it bad? It's up to him ultimately. And I love the guy, but I kind of almost feel like there should be more, and there isn't. But there's a lot of stuff to go back to. Even if you go back to all the best Cowboys, even if you've already heard it, you can go back to it and find something new because that album has a lot.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. You're right.
And that's the last thing I'll say about Pete. When I feel like he's always working, he runs the risk, dare I say, of writing stuff that only makes sense to him. Of course, we the Stamp fans will listen to it. We will try to love it best we can. We'll try to understand it the best we can.
I stand Pete Townshend. No problem.
But at the end of the day, he is who he is.
Yes.
His autobiography is literally called Who I Am. It's a good way to sum him up in 3 words.
So, okay. What are you thinking then will be the next like genre of Pete that you listen to?
Um,
Because I can help make recommendations if you have a mood or a type of song you want to hear more of.
maybe more of his acoustic stuff, since you say that is where he really kind of does like shine a little bit.
I adore anytime he plays the acoustic
Yeah.
guitar. Then I definitely recommend you check out the Who Came First and Rough Mix albums.
Nice.
Good stuff. What about you, Tom?
Well, you're kind of asking the major Pete Townshend fanboy, what am I going to listen to next?
Okay, good point. But if any of y'all are interested in listening to more Pete, if you're on the fence as to what exactly you want and maybe just get a good grab bag of stuff, if you're a one-disc compilation person, I highly recommend the Definitive Collection that came out in 2007 that has an album cover that looks like this. Just him doing the windmill like he do.
You'll know it's him instantly.
Yeah. The best of collection that we also talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Cool Walking Smooth Talking Straight Stoking Fire Smoking, whatever the fuck. This is a pretty good one as well. I prefer the Definitive collection because that's what I got into Pete with. If you're a 2-disc person, go for there's a 2-disc compilation. Depending on where you are, it's called either Gold or Anthology.
That's correct.
Same track list. And it contains all of the songs that we listen to today, except for the live version of Hard to Hang On To,
Mm-hmm.
as well as just another whole disc of other stuff. If you were more into listening to how he came about to how he progressed from his demos to the Who music, then any of the Scoop CDs is good. There's also a 2-CD compilation called Scooped.
Mm-hmm. Best of.
Yeah, that's the best of the Scoop albums. I really like that. Oh, something that I didn't mention that I wish he had finished was a project that he started in 1976, 77, where he was playing acoustic guitar alongside an orchestra.
I remember
So
this.
he does work with an orchestra.
Yeah.
Nice.
He almost did what you were talking about, Tom, which would have been. They made 6 tracks for that. One of them is on Rough Mix. The others are scattered through the Scoop compilations. You'll know them when you hear them because they're Pete on acoustic guitar alongside an orchestra conducted by his father-in-law, Ted Astley. I think the best of them, my personal favorite, is The Ferryman, but Street in the City is great. And the Football Fugue is so funny. I think that's about all I got for. Oh yeah, if you just want straight rock, Pete Townshend, go for Empty Glass, or just go for Empty Glass.
I would be if I had to narrow it down like one album. That's the one like above all else.
Yeah, if you're an album person or a rock person, go for Empty Glass.
Mm-hmm.
If you like concept-y things, probably start with Psychedelic and maybe go to White City. There's barely a concept to White City.
Which kind of perfectly answers the question that you posed to me. What am I going to listen to next? Because he does a little bit of everything. My answer is whatever he puts out next.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'll listen to it. That's what I'll listen to next.
Solid.
Whatever he does.
Right.
Well, to close things out.
Yes. We have a bonus track, which is the remixed version of Let My Love Open the Door from the Best Of compilation. It's called the E. Cola mix. Don't know why. I really think it
because it's
brings out-
refreshing.
Tom, I can leave. I might leave.
I'll open the door for
Okay.
you.
Fine.
Wow.
Yeah. The E. Cola mix, I think, really emphasizes more of the hymnal nature of the song.
Yeah.
The idea that it's God talking to people.
Yeah. It's definitely more slowed down and I would say like stripped a little bit.
Yeah. Stripped down. It's a good time.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
All right. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, play.
I love that version.
Yay! Like I know I made a bad joke about it's refreshing, but how can you tell me that it's not?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, you're right.
It goes down smoothly. It's just
Mhm.
you almost kind of not want to fall asleep to it, but you just want to just groove very slowly to it.
Yeah, it's very much a hug song.
Oh, I like
Yeah.
that.
It's a song that gives you a hug.
It's a nice way to put it.
Yeah.
So, Savannah, do you want to take it from here about how you know this particular version?
Oh yeah. Well, like I said, like "Let My Love Open the Door" is one of those that you either have heard it in a movie or a movie trailer or a TV show or anything. Like I know the original, but I'm more familiar with this one in its entirety because of a movie released in the late 1990s called Grosse Point Blank. It stars John Cusack and Minnie Driver, and it's about this hitman who goes back to his hometown to attend his 10-year high school reunion. And while there, he is being tracked down by some other hitmen, and he's also reuniting with his high school sweetheart. And they're at the reunion, and this song plays, and they dance to it.
Particularly this mix.
Yeah.
And it's very, very likely this was mixed for the movie because the movie came out in 97 and this compilation came out in 96, which
Yeah.
has the slowdown version in it.
Yeah.
So it definitely got the idea of the script writers, producer, directors, whatever you want to say, so wanted to use the song, but it's way too fast for a high school slow dance.
Yeah.
So by special permission from Pete Townshend, either he mixed it or some producer goes by the name E. Cola mixed it, and it's in the film, and it became a second tier hit, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because like who would have heard "Let My Love Open the Door" in 1980 and think, oh, that's never going to be played at a slow dance, and it works really well.
Yeah.
And especially as a fan of the original, I love hearing the stuff you don't get to hear. Like you hear some of the harmony vocals a little more prominent.
Yeah.
The synthesizers they sound good in 1980, but like you hear some things like, oh, I don't think I heard that part,
Mhm.
or maybe that's a new riff that was recorded for this recut version, whatever you want to
Right.
call it.
Right.
It's just like it makes a song I already love in a context that I wasn't sure I would love, but I still love it.
Yeah.
That's the best way I can describe it.
Yeah. It's great.
Mhm.
Like I said, this one feels to me more like a more intimate song from the point of view of someone hearing these words from God, as Pete was describing it.
Yeah.
And it means so much more to me in that way.
Mhm. Like this is more true to Pete's intention a little bit.
Yeah, it's a lot clearer that that's what he was going for in this mix.
Yeah.
When I looked up the song on Wikipedia to see if I could find any background as to like who E. Cola is
Mhm.
or what that name comes from, all I could find was Pete Townshend claims in the liner notes for Anthology about this song, quote, "Jesus sings on this track." You can hear it in this version.
Yeah.
Thanks, Pete, for putting that out there. Because I'm like, yeah, this is totally the heavenly version of "Let My
Yeah.
Love Open the
Yeah.
Door."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. I wish I was looking at my phone as well to see like, do I have the Roger Daltrey song on my phone? And I don't right now, and I'm kicking myself because I want to hear that so hard because it feels like the Daltrey version is a good midway point between these two mixes as far as energy goes, and it's great. You should definitely check that out and buy it because all of the proceeds from that go to teen cancer treatment.
Cool.
Yeah, well, I think that's about all we have for Pete today. Yeah.
Yep.
That's all I can think of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, I hope y'all enjoyed it. I hope if you were not familiar with Pete Townshend before, that now you have, now you find something that you love from his discography. We've been a triple threat for today. I'm Garrett, and I'm
hitting the microphone.
destroying my own equipment.
I'm Savannah.
And I am Tom, saying we welcome anything that Pete does because we are almost coming up on 20 years of psychedelic being the last thing ever. So let's get going on
Let's
that.
get something else. Let's get something else, Pete, please.
But in the meantime, thank you, sir.
Yes.
And thank you guys too.
Yeah. Thanks for watching and listening with us.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.